So DHCP helps connected devices on a local area network with a MAC address. It helps them receive an automatically assigned IP address that's unique. So it's a managed, it's a service that provides unique network addresses to your connected devices. Your wireless router does this automatically. But if you're trying to manage your environment more tightly and you have a managed switch, you can tell the managed switch, oh, as soon as this device connects, tell it to look at this server for the IP address. Put another way, on the physical layer and on layer 2, on the media link layer, the IP helper service basically says, okay, if you're going to get a network address, get it from this server. So the IP helper points clients to the DHCP server where they can get a unique network address. And then the DHCP server in turn says, oh, here's your unique IP address. And while you're at it, if you want to get on the network, if you want to get out of the network locally and go to the internet, the gateway address is this, and your DNS server you're going to need. The domain name server is going to give you the addresses, the network addresses of all the popular internet resources by name, right? Instagram, Google, Microsoft, uvi.edu, all of those that we use by name require domain name services. Okay. LDAP, Kerberos, that all has to do with a domain. Now, each of you have a server that you can connect to remotely, correct?
Yeah. Or
Correct.
Okay. Good. Can I get each of you to connect to your specific machines right now?
Okay.
And I want you to use remote desktop. I don't want you to use Google remote. I don't want you to use Google Chrome with remote desktop through Google Chrome. I want you to use the Microsoft remote desktop. And you should have a specific IP address to use plus a port number. And then when you connect with that port number, it's going to ask you for a login. You put in your first initial and last name. And then you put in the word remote, where the O, the letter O in the word remote is actually the number 0. The R in the word remote is capitalized. There's a dash character. And after the dash, the last 4 numbers of your student ID are used. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I need you to share your screen.
Okay. Oh, wrong thing.
Okay. So if you would, click on your start menu. And then click on settings. And then click on system. And then scroll down to about on the left side. And if you scroll down, you see the device name Pegasus, right?
Yes.
Can you maximize your screen? I mean, the about screen.
Oh, oof.
There we go. Do you see an option to, well, let's go back to system. There should be an option to look at advanced.
Where am I going back to?
Uh,
Oh,
There's click on system info. There it is. So click on change settings. Courtney, do you remember we were talking about the two kinds of security account management where you have a standalone or a work group? And
Yes, I remember work group is something that's more of a combined effort, while standalone is not, it's singular.
right. So if you have machines in a work group, each machine has to maintain its own login accounts, its own permissions. It has to do everything separately. So in a work group environment, it's every man for himself, and each host has its own security account management, meaning if you're sharing information, each host has to create user accounts for every person in that environment. It's very inefficient. The other kind of environment, does anyone remember what the other kind of environment is called? You said it was a singular environment. Do you remember what the formal name was?
is it like personal?
No, it's centralized. All of the accounts are stored in a single location for centralized management.
You mean app data, right?
Say again?
App data, I was saying.
No, that has to do with user profiles and backups, right?
Would it be the user's database?
No, we're working on something different here. This machine is a member of, can you click the change? Click the, or actually just look at, what's the description next to groovy.local?
Groovy.local.
Yeah, look to the left. Look to the left of where it says groovy.local. Move your pointer down. Yeah, right
Domain?
there. Right there. Domain. Domain. It's a domain environment. The centralized active, in Microsoft, they call that an Active Directory domain. It means that all of the accounts are stored in an Active Directory. They're all stored together in a single place on a special system called a domain controller. Okay? Everybody understand?
Yes.
Okay. Now we were talking about snapshots and backups on Monday. And we wanted you to be able to distinguish between what a virtual machine, if you take an image of a virtual machine and it's in the VMware or VirtualBox environment, it's called one thing. And if you're in another environment, it's called something else. Does anybody remember?
I can't recall.
Okay. Where are we? I was typing this. Oh, nope, it's not in there. It might be in the study guide. Let's look in the study guide. Basically, when you're working, all right, so let me do this. I'm gonna connect to mine. Can you stop sharing, please?
Okay.
Give me 1 second here. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, Dr. Kentop.
I can't either.
All right. Hang on just a moment. The name of your system is called Jupiter, is that correct? Courtney?
Yes.
Okay. So we were talking about backups, and I told you that you could watch a YouTube video and it would explain the different kinds of backups. By that, we mean you're backing up the whole system, or you're backing up, maybe you're backing up the, you're backing up just the user profile, right? And hang on just a moment. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
I can still hear you.
Okay. So the audio is good. Okay, I'm hoping that'll help cut down on some of the background noise. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
So if we're looking at a virtual system in the Windows environment, it's called Hyper-V, right? So instead of having a VirtualBox virtual machine or having a VMware virtual machine, you can create virtual machines with something called Hyper-V. Hypervisor is the name of it. So that when you have a virtual machine, it's based on a component known as a hypervisor. It's a virtual representation. It's a component of your system that allows you to virtualize your physical hardware devices. So a hypervisor is part of what allows a virtual system to be created. And Microsoft basically used that term to come up with a brand name for their own virtual machine resources. So it's called Hyper-V, and that's short for hypervisor, right? Now, VirtualBox has a hypervisor, and VMware has a hypervisor. When you're making virtual systems and you're taking physical components and creating virtual components like virtual hard disks, virtual processors, virtual RAM or memory, it's the hypervisor that translates memory on your system into those components. So a virtual machine is going to work just like a real physical machine, including the hard disks, including the networking. So you can back up those systems with backup software. And I hope that each of you had a chance to watch that video where it talked about the difference between a full backup, which is very wasteful, and an incremental backup and a differential backup. Does that ring any bells from Monday?
Yeah, we discussed about how backing up every day would be counterproductive,
Right.
especially a full backup.
But then if you only did the user profile, that's kind of a catch-22 also, right? Because all you have is the user data. And if you only back up the user data, then, and you're actually very careful. So you go into the app data folder that Courtney mentioned. Remember, Courtney? Talking about app data. So let's say that you're actually very careful and you find the hidden folder that's called app data, and you get the email content in the outlook.ost file that was 50. Remember, mine was 15 gigabytes. It's a really big mailbox, right? It's an offline mailbox. Let's say you get all that. Do you get all of the applications and software if you have to rebuild your whole system? If all you keep is the user data? What do we conclude on Monday? If I only back up the user data in my users folder, do I also get a copy of all the software that's loaded on my system? Yes or no? In program files.
Wouldn't it just be the user data?
Yeah, it's just the user data, right? So if I'm trying to be efficient with my backups and I only want my user data, the downside to saving disk space is if I have to rebuild my system, I have to have extra copies of the software to reload not just the operating system, but all of the applications, right? So I have to reload the Chrome browser. I have to reload the Adobe PDF reader. I have to reload my Microsoft Office, everything that I'm using. And that's kind of a pain. We told you that virtual systems were very efficient. And one of the things that's really cool about virtual systems, whether you're talking about Microsoft and you're talking about a checkpoint, right? So a snapshot of a virtual machine is an image or backup of the virtual machine. And it's kind of condensed. It takes up less disk space than a full-blown system in many cases. But one of the things you can do is you can allow your virtual system to kind of go back in time to restore to an earlier state. And again, in Microsoft, on Microsoft systems, that's called a checkpoint. In VirtualBox or in VMware, it's called a snapshot. I'm going to stop sharing and I need one of you to share your virtual machines. Courtney, do you have your virtual machine running?
No, but I can probably get it running in a moment.
Okay, why don't you do that while Joshua shares his? Joshua, I saw you had yours running.
Okay.
Can you share your screen, please? Okay, so this machine, Pegasus, is part of a domain. And when I do backups on a domain, I can be very efficient and I can back up specific things using domain features so that backups are a lot easier if it's part of a domain. Go ahead and cancel this. And then cancel the control panel. And then you can close this window. No, yeah, that lower one. There we go. And let's just minimize this screen for now. Okay, so you had a VirtualBox window open a minute ago. Can you open your VirtualBox? Okay, great. So here's what I want to show you. Josh, this is your virtual machine, right?
Yes.
And you're running this in VirtualBox.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see what it's like to use a snapshot. I want you to do something for me. How many accounts do you have set up on your machine right now?
Just one, my account.
Okay. Let's create a new, and this is a standalone machine, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go ahead and do me a favor and open up. Kurt, Courtney, are you like eating something or?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind it. All right, so Joshua, can you show me your network settings? Can you open up your network settings on that virtual machine? All right, and Courtney, you're seeing this, right?
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Okay, can you click change adapter options, please?
Change connection options?
No,
Oh,
the
choose
change
adapter
adapter
options.
options, yeah. Okay, can you double click where it says Ethernet? And let's click details. Now this is perfect. See, Courtney, I want you to check this out. Right now, Joshua has his servers set up so that his network will connect directly with his virtual machine, his server. You know how we can tell that? What's the IP address?
The same as his computer.
Almost the same.
If
See
I
how
remember
it's-
correctly, mine one should have the same setup because it's been saying it's connected to the internet.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that in just a minute.
Oh, wait, no, it just says local connected.
Yeah. So what is your IPv4 address, Joshua?
By default gateway is 192.168.1.1.
Yep. And the address itself higher up, right above the subnet mask, what does that read?
192.168.1.18.
That's right. Now, let's go to your actual physical machine. Can you click on your wireless host down there in the lower system tray?
In the lower system tray?
Yeah. Not on your virtual machine, on your laptop. If you can minimize your virtual machine for a second, and then click on your start menu, and then go to settings, go the same route, right? And go to, I guess you could go to network and internet. Okay. And change adapter options, okay? This time double click the Wi-Fi because that's the one that's active, yeah? And let's go to details. All right. So check this out. You're sitting on 192.168.1.11 and your
Yes.
virtual machine is sitting on 192.168.18. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So let's pretend that you wanted to do some experimenting with network configurations and you wanted to be able to put settings back the way they were without having to do all the work. It'd be nice if you could take a quick snapshot, image of your virtual machine, and then after you tried some things out, you could just roll back to the snapshot and undo everything you tried. So if you screwed something up, it'd be like an easy button. You just click go back and then everything would be back to normal, right?
Isn't that like the restore function on the desktop?
It is a bit like restore, except that the restore on your desktop has to do with returning your operating system to a previous state. And when you hit restore for your operating system, the concept is similar, but it's very different.
For example, let's pretend you tried to change your networking configuration on your laptop, your physical laptop, okay? And let's say that you did your system restore. That would not necessarily put your network back in working order the way you wanted it to. It would return your Windows to an earlier state. Like, okay, what was your Windows like earlier this month before you ran updates? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to change the settings that you modified on your network connection. Let me show you what I mean, okay? Let's just remember that you should be able to ping your virtual system, right? And if you can't, we're going to modify the firewall so that you can, okay? So can you open up a command prompt?
Oops.
So your virtual system is sitting on your network just like your regular system, correct?
Correct.
So let's ping, enter the command ping space 192.168.1 dot, and what is your virtual server?
168.1.18.
Yep, hit it. And it's not doing anything. Let's go back to your VirtualBox machine. Click close. And close. And let's close these two windows. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go to your start menu and open up control panel. There we go, control panel. Courtney, do you remember the name of the service you have to have enabled on your firewall to do ping? Hit the category option, please.
Hold on. I think I forgot. Could you remind me what the huh?
It's called Echo Reply, ICMP.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, let's go to Defender Firewall. Now, Josh, just for the, is it okay if I call you Josh instead of Joshua?
That's perfectly fine. Everyone calls me Josh anyway.
Okay, so let's just turn off your Windows firewall. Just for a second. Just turn it all off, right? Go there. And we're going to turn it right back on again, but hit turn off and turn off. Now go back to your command prompt on the host. Yeah, the DOS prompt on your host.
Oh, on my main computer?
Yeah, on the main computer. No, one over, the DOS prompt, the command prompt.
Oh,
Yeah, there, hit your up arrow. Now hit enter. Oh, see what happened there? So your server, your virtual machine is a server and it wants to be more protected on the network. So it's going to block pings because there's this thing called the ping of death. You can deny the service from a server by just pinging it so much that the network card is overwhelmed and it keels over and dies, right? And a firewall is going to stop that from happening if the server firewall is in place. The thing that I want you to understand is that you have a firewall and it protects this machine. And you've turned it off. And what I want you to do now is I want you to go back to your firewall screen. Okay. And I want you to turn your firewall back on. And turn it on and turn it on. Okay, and hit OK. And just leave it there for a sec. And then go back to your DOS prompt and hit your up arrow key and hit enter again. you get the point, right? You're changing a single setting and the result is completely different, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, now, watch what happens next. Okay, so let's fix this so that you can respond to pings, but the rest of your firewall is working properly. Click on the firewall option there. Courtney, I want you to do the same thing on your server, okay? On your virtual machine.
Okay, I have my virtual machine open. You want me to go to,
The firewall in control panel. And then Josh, click advanced settings, please. And right now, Josh, you haven't created a firewall rule to allow ping to work. So one of the things you can do is you can take a snapshot of your virtual machine, which means you can grab a backup image of your virtual machine. Now, do you have enough hard disk space on your system? One thing about snapshots is that you got to make sure you have plenty of room. Let's go to, yeah, you got plenty of room. Okay, that's perfect. You got plenty of room. So watch this. Right now, what I want you to do is to leave this screen just like it is. Okay? And we're gonna like freeze time. So I want you to minimize, let's see here. Let's go to the machine menu at the top of the VirtualBox window. See where the machine menu is?
Yes.
Machine. Yeah. Courtney, you with me?
yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to see if find where, okay, I'm on Windows Defender Firewall. I'm supposed to go to advanced settings, right?
Yes. So you go to advanced settings. Thank you, Josh. And then you'll see this screen right here. So what we're gonna, now you're not making any changes yet. You're not making any changes yet. And we don't want to close any windows, but go to the machine menu and go to take snapshot. And I want you to give this snapshot a name.
Oh, wait, I'm not using VirtualBox. I'm using remote desktop.
Okay, but you do have a virtual machine that you created earlier this semester that's running in VirtualBox, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the one we want to open up.
All right, but I don't even know if that thing's gonna be able to run properly.
Okay, well, tell you what, let's just follow along for now because Joshua is going to demonstrate what you're going to do for your solution. Okay. So one of the things you're going to do in your solution is you're going to make some changes and you're going to take a snapshot here and a snapshot there. And Josh, let's call this before firewall rule. Let's use FW. Yeah. FW rule, and then put a comma, and then say bridged NIC. BRIG. So when you configured your virtual machine, you said, hey, I want my virtual machine to be on the network in my home, just like every other thing is. Bridged space, capital N, capital I, capital C. Bridged NIC. Okay, cool. Hit OK. And here's what's going to happen. It's going to take a snapshot of your virtual machine. It's going to capture an image of the state of your machine. It's a full backup of your virtual system, right? But the cool part is that a snapshot works a little differently. Every time you take a snapshot going forward, it's going to capture just the differences that occur. So when you roll back to a previous machine state, only the changes and only as far as only the changes you want to go back will go back. So I'll show you what we're talking about in just a second. All right, so now you have a snapshot of your virtual machine. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to create an inbound rule. Okay? Create an inbound rule. So click on your screen where it says inbound rule. Upper left
Under
corner,
the
inbound rule.
under domain profile? Oh, no,
a little
inbound.
further to the left.
Oh,
In the upper left corner. There it is. Perfect. What I want you to do is scroll down a little bit until you see something called echo. Reply echo, probably file systems, file, yeah, keep scrolling down, keep scrolling down. Oh, stop. See where it says echo request, file and printer sharing? Yeah, those two. Hold your shift key down and click each one. Or just click that one. Yeah, just click that one. And then on the right, to the right, it says enable rule. Go ahead, turn it on. Cool. Okay, now what I want you to do, Josh, go back to your host DOS prompt. The command prompt on your host. Hit the up arrow again and hit enter. Perfect. Okay, so we just created, or we actually just enabled a rule that already existed where if we want to ping something and we want it to reply back, because we're interested in sharing resources, we want to know if it's alive. We want to know if it's working. So we enabled that firewall rule. So now what I want you to do is to minimize that DOS prompt, right? And I want you to go back to your machine menu. Take another snapshot. And this time, call it, what was the last one called?
I think it was before rule change.
Yeah, it was before firewall, and then it was bridge NIC, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're going to say after FW, FW rule, comma, bridged NIC. You still with me, Courtney?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now hit OK. All right. Now let's really scramble the eggs. That's going to run in the background, and we're going to let that run. But what I want you to do is I want you to close all the firewall stuff, okay? Might take a second.
Yeah. Can't do anything.
So what it's doing now is it's saying, okay, I'm going to take an image, I'm going to take a snapshot of this machine, but let's make sure that I'm capturing just the changes. It says a few seconds remain, a few seconds remain. It's all right, good. Now let's really scramble the eggs. Let's say we were tweaking some firewall settings because we wanted to know whether our network was functioning properly, but we didn't want to turn off all the security. So we needed the firewall on, but we also needed to be able to talk. Now what I want to do is I want to create a NATed network connection instead of a bridge network connection. What I want to do is change your machine so that it is connected now instead through your laptop to the internet, but not to your local network in the house. Are you with me?
Yes.
So I'm going to create a separate network inside your laptop. And I want your virtual machine only on that separate network inside your laptop. And yes, it can still connect to the internet using network address translation, NAT, instead of bridged. But what's going to happen is that your IP address is going to change. Instead of 192.168.1.18, it's going to change. And when it does, your host is no longer going to be able to ping it because it's not even on the same network. Okay? Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go to the machine settings. So go to your machine menu. This time go to settings. Yep. And I want you to select network. See where it says bridged?
Yes.
Yeah, hit the pull down. Say NAT network. Okay, it's saying invalid settings detected. Hit the pull down again. No, instead of NAT. Yeah, hit the bridged internal network host only. Oh, hit NAT. See how NAT is sitting above it? That's what we want. NAT. There we go. Now click OK. Oh my gosh. Now here's what happened. Minimize the firewall, please. Oh, look at that. By the way, how do you answer this question? Always, 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 Courtney.
Yes.
No,
No.
no.
No, of course not.
Do you want to allow this system to be discoverable by other systems on the network? No. Hell no. Answer no. You always answer no. Always, always, always. Okay, you can close the Windows Defender firewall. Yeah, you can close that. Yeah. And you can close that. What I want you to do is I want you to open up your network connection again. You know how you did before? Yeah, you went there and you went to settings and you went to network and then you went to change adapter properties, right? Change adapter options. Now double click on Ethernet. Details. Oh no! Look at your network address. OMG. Are you on 192.168.1.18 anymore?
I am definitely not.
You're not. This would be like you connecting through wireless to another wireless router and it giving you a totally different network and it's private internal instead of being another client on the local network. So go to your route. No, go to your MS-DOS prompt. We're almost done. Click on that. Yeah. Hit the up arrow key and see if you can ping that. Oh, of course not. But here's what I want you to try now. See if you can ping your new IP address, 10 dot whatever, okay? So go back to your virtual machine real quick. Yeah, and what does it say? 10.0.2.15. Let's remember that. 10.0.2.15. So hit the up arrow, but then use the backspace. Just hit the up arrow, but then backspace over and put 10.0.2.15. Try to do that. Oh.
I got it somewhere wrong. Hold on. Oh. There you go.
No, doesn't work. Now here's a dumb question. Can you open up a browser and browse the internet? Is your internet still working? you go to the address line and type in Google, just hit OK. Say OK. Say close. That's Google. So can you talk to the internet? Yep. Can you talk to your own host? Nope. Now, here's the part that I want you to see that's so cool. Are you ready?
Mhm.
Take one last snapshot. We're going to do this in like 3 minutes. Go to machine, take snapshot. Take snapshot. And this time what I want you to do is I want you to say after NAT applied. Okay, hit OK. All right. On Friday, what we're going to do is we're going to roll back to those different states. Okay.
Okay.
So this is going to save an image of your virtual machine after we made those changes. So it still works on the internet, but it doesn't work on your local network, right? Which can be good, or it can be really sucky depending on what your purpose is. If you want a virtual system to run in your home environment, then you don't want that setting. You'd want the earlier setting, right? You'd want it to be able to talk on your own network. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now here's the fun part. Go to machine again. And okay, it says take a snapshot, session information, file manager, all that. One of the things that's interesting is that you can roll back your snapshot to a different time. So what I want you to do now is to shut down your system. Just go to the start menu and do a shutdown. Okay. And do that, and then say shut down, and then say planned, hit the pull down and say other planned. Now, and then I'll continue. It's going to shut down your system. Now you have VirtualBox open, right? While that's shutting down, can we look at VirtualBox? Perfect. Maximize your screen, please. Now on the left, it says GW machine, JW machine. See that?
Yes.
And then in that blue bar, on the right-hand side of that blue bar, there's 3 dots. You see them?
He's right here.
Yeah, those right there. Click that. See where it says snapshots?
Mhm.
Yeah, open. Courtney, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
See the snapshot? Before firewall rule, bridged. After firewall rule, bridged. Nick. After NAT applied. Right? Select the one that says before firewall rule, bridged. Okay. See the restore button?
Yes.
If you click that, it's going to restore back to that original state. It may take a while, but then you start your machine and you'll find out that it's like a time machine. You just went back to the very beginning of our class. And we'll demonstrate this. Don't touch this machine until the start of our class. Okay?
Okay.
On Friday, by this time Friday, you will have started your virtual machine in VirtualBox on your laptop, right, Courtney?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll run updates and make sure it's all copacetic, right? And you'll be ready to do this on your own machine on Friday, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll start off the class by asking Joshua to demonstrate the rollback. What I want you to do now is to click restore. And then, yeah, go ahead. It says you're about to roll back. Say restore.
Create a snapshot of current machine state.
Yeah, just uncheck that because you already did. Uncheck the box. Yeah, and then hit restore. It's going to roll back and it's going to take a minute, right? But I want you to notice on the right-hand side, it shows when it was taken, 15 minutes ago and so on. The important point is that after it's finished running, if you start your machine again, like go back to the 3 dots. Go to details. When you're ready, when you click the start button up above, what will happen is that it'll go back. This is what we're going to do on Friday. Start of the class. You're going to click that green start arrow. When it comes up, it's going to be like we never did anything. It'll be in the state. It'll show the firewall rule open before we did the rule in the first place, or before we turned it off, right? You remember?
Yes.
Okay. That's what you're going to see on Friday. That is backup on steroids with virtual machines. It's called Snapshots. This concludes our class for the day. I hope to see you Friday. Please.
How soon is the recording going to be up? Because I'm gonna actually really need this one.
I can put it up there this evening. I will put it out there this evening. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. And we'll see you Friday.
Mm-hmm.
See you, Dr. Gantop.
All right. Bye-bye for now.